What's up guys, it's Cobalt here, welcome back to another video. Did you know that today is Small Business Saturday? That means you guys should commission me by clicking my Etsy link down below in the description. I also have some customs still up for sale on my eBay shop and a fundraiser that is almost over. But anyways, in today's video I'm showing you some more custom commissions that I finished back in 2024. If you'd like to leave a comment, let me know which of these was your favorite. And without further ado, let's get right on into it. Alright, next up we have my very first commission on a Clydesdale horse base. Of course this is a G7 LPS. This isn't my first Clydesdale custom, it's actually my second one, but as for commissions, it's the first one I've done. Here's the reference sheet that the commissioner sent me. It is for somebody over on Etsy, and I assume this is a My Little Pony character that they've created. But anyways, I had a lot of fun with this one because she has so many details. The commissioner only chose a simple sculpted option, so I basically had to translate what they sent me into an LPS. If they purchased a higher level commission, I could have, done the hair the way it looks in the reference sheet. But for this one, I only ended up sculpting these two little strands here on the side, as well as these two little tufts of hair on the top. On the body, I sculpted her two wings, I sculpted this bracelet, and I sculpted these two little wraps or bracelets on the front hooves as well. And she also has a bunch of little embellishments in her hair and on her ears. She has these little pieces of glitter for earrings, these little decorations in her hair, as well as on the bracelet I added some things there as well, just to add those extra little details that I was not able to sculpt. In the reference sheet, she also had a necklace, so I ended up making one out of little beads, so it can just hook on like so. You can adjust it because it is made with wire. But yeah, I think she turned out really cute, and I had a lot of fun with this one because of how many details she had. I really like doing the eyes as well. They're super fun, and I think it's always so cool when customs have eye colors that are different than their eyelash colors. So you can see the pupils like a dark blue, and then the eyelashes are a dark pink. And here is how the bottom looks like, and the top. And yeah, that is pretty much it. The next commission is another one for somebody over on Etsy, and this is of a warrior cat named Hollyleaf. She was actually one of my favorite characters back in the day when I was very much into warrior cats, but this one's a little bit different. This is actually the Holly Fawn version of her from a Warrior Cats AU map here on YouTube. I don't think I've actually ever seen this one, but I get it recommended to me like all the time, so maybe this is my sign to watch it now that I've made a custom of this version of the character. But yeah, this design was sort of inspired by a bunch of different concepts that people have done for the map. I believe there might be more than one for the Holly Fawn AU, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, this custom was also made from a Generation 4 Maine Coon cat, or Generation 5. It's the orange one with the fluffy tail. I've been saving this base for a long time because I've been dying to use it, but I had no idea what I actually wanted to use it for, so I thought that it would be perfect for a version of Hollyleaf. As for sculpting, the only things that I sculpted were her antlers. They're just painted green. She also has some extra fluff on the chest, as well as this big fluffy tail. Since the original base didn't have an actual tail, obviously that was one of the things that I would need to resculpt. But yeah, and I know Hollyleaf is a black cat, but I decided to make her this dark gray color so that I could do the accent colors in a black, and I think that it still translates really well, and I feel like this definitely looks like Hollyleaf to me. And I also just love the way that this hot pinkish red in the ears complements the green in the eyes as well as the green on the antlers. And I also decided to add two little stars in her eyes just because of like her connection with StarClan and the lore around that in the books as well. So that's just, I guess, like a little personal detail that I decided to add. And I forgot to mention, I did also sculpt the claws on her front feet, and of course she's got some little paw pads on the bottom. The next commission is technically another Warrior Cats custom, but this is of somebody's OC. So here is the reference that they sent me for this character. I think she is super cute, and as much as I complain about making customs that have a white base, I did actually have a lot of fun making this one. So as for sculpting, I sculpted her hair, which I'd say is probably my favorite part of this custom. I just really like the way that it came out. I also sculpted these bits of fur on the tips of her ears as well as on the inside of her ears. I sculpted the cheek fluff, the chest fluff, and some fluffy bits on her tail. She also has these pieces of lavender here on the side, which are just cut off of a fake plant and then hot glued on there. And other than that, she's just a simple gray and white cat. She also has these cool gray scars on her face and her arm, and I also really love her bluish gray eyes. On the reference sheet, I honestly couldn't tell if the eyes were blue or gray, so that's why I decided to get this nice middle color, and I think the slightly more blue tone to the eyes helps it stand out a little bit more against her more monochromatic details. And this is another commission for somebody over on Etsy, and this is actually my first time making a Poodle custom from any base, which is pretty cool. I've never had the chance to use one before, so I had a lot of fun with this one. She is a simple sculpted custom, so what I sculpted here are the headphones. I'm actually really happy with the way that they turned out, and I had to sculpt a little bit of clay right here on the sides because this mold actually does have some bows that are molded in, so I added a little bit of extra clay, you can kind of see here, to cover that up as well before I added the headphones. And then the only thing sculpted on her body is the little heart collar. I'm very proud of the way that I sculpted the heart. I think it looks really good. She also has just a bunch of heart motifs in her design in general. You can see there's a little heart on her chest. She also has heart-shaped paws, and this little heart heart shape on her face and in her hair. This custom was actually designed by me for the commissioner. I drew up several designs based on what they requested, and this was the one that they liked the best, and I really love the way that she came out. I think she looks really, really cool. There's also some little hearts here on the headphones as well as the tiny ones in her eyes, and it's basically just a very pink color scheme, and I love the way that her teal eyes look with the overall colors. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this custom, but I think it's always really fun when I get to design the custom for the person. Next up, we have another realistic style commission of somebody's pet cat. I absolutely love the way that this one came out, and it was super, super fun to paint. The only thing that I sculpted on this one were the tiny bits of fluff in the ears, because this cat had very fluffy ears. And as you can see, this is made from a fake wolf cat base or Maine Coon base, and I just love the way that the back looks like. Look how many different shades of brown and all the different colors that are on there. Very, very cool. Very simple technique. It's basically just taking a brush and kind of just like dabbing it on everywhere, but it looks amazing in my opinion. So I had so much fun with this one. I also love the super vibrant green eyes. They were also very fun to paint, and you can also just see how glossy they are. And this is another commission for somebody over on Etsy who also happens to be a returning customer. I believe this is their third time commissioning me, so I really, really appreciate that. This is of course their original design, so here is the little reference that they sent me. I think this design is super, super cool, super fun. I love all the little details. The swirl on the chest was very hard to paint, but I absolutely love the way that it looks, and same with the stars on the arms here, and I love the two different colored eyes. It's basically like a little clown dog, and this is just a simple repaint made from an authentic golden retriever base with all of the different primary colors, and yeah, not too much going on in the back. The front is definitely the star of the show with all of these little details, but again, it was a lot of fun. I think my favorite part of this custom is the eyes. I think that was a very creative choice. And here's what the bottom looks like with all of the little different colored paws. Very, very cute. These next two commissions are a pair. They are of Geto and Gojo from the anime called Jujutsu Kaisen. I personally never watched it myself, but I am familiar with these characters, and they were a ton of fun to make. So I'll start off with this guy because I completed him first. As you can see, both of these customs are made from fake Great Dane bases. For this one, I sculpted his hair, his piercings, and his clothes. His hair is done up in a bun because for both of these customs, it's supposed to be in their school uniforms or something like that, I think is what the commissioner told me. So I made sure to include that, and I really love the way that I did his eyes. They are slightly more half-lidded just to capture the expression, and I basically copied the style that they're done in the show and translated that onto the LPS custom and added a couple extra lines here and there just because I think that makes anime customs more recognizable and stand out a bit more. And yeah, other than that, he is pretty simple. So now let's take a look at Gojo. He is done in the exact same way, although his eyes are much bigger because in the show they appear bigger as well. I of course sculpted his hair and his clothes as well. Their clothes are exactly the same, and I really like the way that his hair is done. His hair is sort of like a white color, but I went in with some lighter grays as well just to add some extra shading and really make them stand out. And I think his eyes also stand out a lot, and I gave him these little extra eyelashes because it seemed like there was a lot of emphasis put on his eyes in the show, so I wanted to translate that into the custom as well. The commissioner also requested that I make his little sunglasses, so here they are. They're definitely not the best because I wasn't entirely sure how to make them, but basically they are made of wire, and then the lenses are filled with hot glue and then covered in some gloss varnish. So since they're made of wire, you can adjust them to fit his head however you want. You can kind of slide it here under the hair. You can even take it off if it's not really a great fit. You can kind of push them together too and bend that little part in the middle there, slide that on, and then bend the wires on the side if you want. But you know what, that is a decent fit, although personally I think he is a little bit better looking without the glasses just because I'm not the best at making those. But since the commissioner requested it, I decided to just include them anyways as a little extra thing. Next up, we have another custom ordered off of Etsy. This is for the person's partner of their original character, and guys, you probably won't believe me when I say this, but this is probably the hardest head swap that I have ever done because it is a G7 corgi head on a G2 fake fox body. But for some reason, G7 LPS are very, very finicky when it comes to head swaps. Their bodies are completely fine to use, but the heads are just a total challenge. So I had to swap out the neck peg for an older one just so that I could make this head swap work, and it took me way too long, but luckily it functioned and it bobbles perfectly, so I think that it was worth my suffering. But anyways, here's the reference sheet that was provided for me of this person's character. It is sort of like a FNAF OC, which I think is really cool, and I went ahead and sculpted all of their hair. So even though this is obviously not a human character, this custom fell into my human category because of the hair, since it has a full head of hair on the front and back. Anyways, besides that, I also sculpted the two little eyebrows here, the little teeth, and the tongue. There's also some claws on the front paws that were sculpted as well, and the bow was also sculpted but using a mold, and I just made sure to get all of the details as accurate as I could. I really hate painting white customs, but I think the overall coating of this one turned out pretty good, and I also love how glossy the eyes are. You can really see it. And one other fun fact, you can see that this custom has a heart-shaped nose, and they also have some really cool little heart-shaped paws on the bottom as well, which is a detail that I had a lot of fun adding. And finally, we have another commission for somebody over on Etsy. This is also a person who has commissioned me several times, so thank you so much for being a returning customer. Anyways, this is just a simple repaint on a fake Siberian Husky base. I think that it looks super cute, and I love the fact that its eyes are both looking off in the same direction. I always have a lot of fun doing customs with more unique eyes like that. Here's the reference that was sent to me by this commissioner. As you can see, it's just a pretty much one-to-one recreation. My colors are a little bit different, but I still think that I was able to translate it pretty well into a custom, and I also really love the little hair detail that she has on her head. The paw pads were not colored in the reference sheet, but I did end up making them the same color as the nose and the inside of the ears. I just have a lot of fun painting the little paws, especially on a LPS like this where they're actually molded into the base on one of the feet. And that's the last custom for today's video. I will be posting one more of these tomorrow, and then next week I'll get back to posting something else. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all then. Bye!